In today's video, I'll be pruning up my American elm, making it more compact and selecting the branches I want to keep. I'm standing back now having a look at the American elm, and a lot of people describe elms as having a certain elm style to them, and that's described as like looking like a champagne glass or martini glass, where you have the trunk coming up and then the branches fanning out. So sort of like a broom style, but more of a sweeping feel to the branches. So like an upright kind of feeling to the branches, that initial structure, and then it forms a canopy on top. So that's kind of the style I'm going after. We used to have some great big American elms in our backyard, but they all died one year. I don't know if it was from some kind of Dutch elm disease or what it was, but I was sad to lose those. But they had that champagne glass style to them, or that martini glass style to them. So a lot of these branches, it's grown really well last summer. This was kind of the first summer where the growth started to get really good on it. I did a lot of root work down below, so the tree was kind of getting used to its new root system, growing new roots, and last year the tree started gaining really good vigor, and you can see that in the branches, how much they've elongated, you know, in just that one summer. There's a better look at the elm now without the sun kind of shining on the one side. So you can see the branch structure, how it's elongated. So I'm going to prune it back today. Before I prune it, I collect photographs of all the different species of trees, and I have a folder on my computer for American elms. And I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to study it. I'm going to see what makes an elm look like an elm, and then I'll try and, you know, copy or mimic that style in my miniature bonsai elm. I think I'm losing my voice a bit. I was doing so much talking this morning in the orchard that I can't really talk that well this afternoon, but I'll try my best. I encourage everyone to study the trees in nature. Nature is the inspiration for bonsai in the first place. So if you're pruning up an elm, go study pictures of elms or go look at elms in nature and try and get an idea of what that elm-like structure looks like, a typical elm. You don't have to copy it exactly, but to keep that structure in mind when you're pruning your bonsai, and your tree will look much more natural and more miniature too. I had a look at the photos of elms in my collection. I'll show you some of those. You can see in the photos that's kind of the style I want to develop, is this upward sweeping primary branch structure and then sort of a classical broom structure on top. So let's get pruning. I'm out front now having a look at the branch structure on my elm, and you can see this one branch here is really thick, and I'm trying to kind of equalize the branch on the left hand side here to kind of thicken up so it gives more of that upright structure to the tree. So I'll have to prune, you know, this side of the tree back quite hard and let the other side grow longer to kind of help equalize that vigor. I'm going to spin the tree around so you can see it from all angles. There is a large pruning scar at the back. This tree was collected from my front garden where it grew from a seed, and I kind of did clip and grow on it for many, many years. Half the trunk from about here was buried in the soil, so you can see it doesn't really have a lot of bark texture on it, but that'll come with a few more years, I think. It's starting to get a bit of a cracking to it now, but yeah, there were some large pruning marks on it. These elms grow really, really rapidly in the ground. I would be pruning it 3 or 4 times a summer, quite hard. And so the tree, it's about, I'm trying to think how old it is. It was in the ground probably for 10 years, and then it's been maybe 4 or 5 years out of the ground now. It had one of the most horrible root systems on it when I first dug it out of the front garden. I hadn't done any previous root pruning on it. And you can, if you go back, check the playlist on this tree, you'll see me take it from a really, really rough, coarse root system to something that's getting quite acceptable now. It's starting to get nice root flare and a nice radial root base. So that'll help thicken up the base of the tree in the future. It always had a bit of inverse taper. It's slowly disappearing as I develop that root structure and the tree grows. So yeah, check the playlist and you'll see the development of this tree from very, very coarse material to where it is now, where it's starting to, well, it's starting to look more like a tree. It's hard to get a really good shot of the tree because the sun is shining right in the camera lens, but hopefully you'll be able to see kind of what's going on up top here. So I'll rotate it around. So here's the front view, coming around to the right view. The back view, you can see the big pruning scar here. The left view. And back to the front. All right, I'm going to start the pruning now. I've got 2 branches coming off here, and it's already kind of thick in this area, so I don't want any more vigor in this area. So I'm going to prune those right off. Those branches grew last season. I've got a little one off to the side which isn't too bad, and another one here. I think I'll keep those because I want something in this area, probably a 3rd trunk coming up to kind of fill in this space here. So I'm going to keep this branch. I don't think I want this one. No, it kind of crosses in front of this one, so that one can come off. And I'll prune this one off to an upward facing bud. There's one on top of the branch here, or there's another one on top of the branch here, which will help get this branch more vertical. It's not at a bad angle now, but it would be a little better, more vertical. So I'm going to take it off right back here. So here's my bud, and I'll prune just above that, like that. So this bud will develop and it'll grow a branch into this section of the tree. There's a branch on the inside here that's developed. I'll take that off. There's also a little one here. I can take that off, just to clean up this area a bit. I've got a hanging branch here, and then I've got a more upright one here. And I've got 2 branches right side by side here. So I've got to pick one. Or do I? Could you see a feature like that on a full-size elm? I think you could. And is it going to be a problem in the future? Maybe. However, they're all nice branches. I'll take this one branch that's crossing everything here off. Like that. There's another branch here that's a bit tangled up. I'll get that growing more upright for now. That's not the greatest branch. I'm going to take that one off. Now, I kind of like this hanging branch here. It's got a lot of character to it. Definitely a feature on the tree. That's kind of a nice branch. I don't think I need the one above here. So there's 2 branches coming out from one spot. I don't think I need this upper one because I've got this branch here. Maybe, I don't know. It's a tough decision there. I'm going to come back to that. It's just too tough to decide which to keep there. I've got a branch coming off the bottom here. Again, you know, it doesn't really follow any rules, but it's a nice branch. So I'm just going to prune it off shorter to there. I could even go shorter on that. I will. I'll go back to here. That makes that branch nice and compact. I can get some ramification here. Again, you know, I want this tree to look natural. I don't want to look like a preconceived notion of what a tree should look like. I want it to have full of natural looking, what some people would call flaws in a tree. This hanging branch here, I'm going to prune it back. I've got a bud right here, one here. It kind of curves nice and then it kind of straightens out. So I think I need some ramification about here, so I'll prune it here. Like that. There's one going straight up from that branch. It's such a weird feature, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to start reducing some of these branches in the upper canopy now. Alright, so I'm up in the upper canopy here, and what I'm looking for is just these new shoots, these vigorous shoots, pruning them back so they're more compact, to get more ramification and more movement to the branch. Change of taper, change of direction. So here's one I can prune back to here, like that. Another one I can prune back to here. Actually, yeah, right to there. Bit of cleanup here. That one to there, to there. Actually, I'm going to take, I think I'll take that one off totally. Yeah. Will I? Yeah. I'm going to remove this one. I had some bar branches there. This one doesn't shade out this other branch here so much, so that one had to go. Stump I can prune off here, like that. Take the tip off here. This one can be pruned back. To there. This one. To there. On a tree, you want the basic branch structure to be fairly simple and get more and more complex and tighter internodes as you get out towards the outer canopy. So right now, I'm not after really tight internodes. I'm still letting the, you know, the growth to be fairly long. And as the canopy grows, I'll make that, these branch lengths will get shorter and shorter and more ramified. So that's the look I'm after, is that natural kind of ramification. I'm just kind of shortening shoots for now, and then I'll come back and do more shoot selection. You don't want all these long straight shoots on your tree. Doesn't look very miniature. I'll take that one back. There's some good branch overlap here. I've got a branch going underneath this other branch here. Totally natural, and it looks okay, but I'm not sure if I want to keep it or not, but I doubt it. I think I'll take it out. That's just too strange a feature, and that will get worse with age. It'll thicken up and become a problem, so that comes out. Take that tip stub off. I've got another one, a branch overlapping here. I think I need to take this part of the branch off here, like that. That cleans that branch structure up quite nicely. There's another branch here that kind of crosses all these other branches. I think, again, that's interesting, but it's going to become a problem in the future, so I got to take it off. I think this inner part here has got to be removed. Like that. Yeah, there's a fine line, you know, between rules, basic pruning rules, and naturalism. I try and keep anything that kind of looks natural. That's not going to become a big problem in the future. Here's one. I have 3 branches coming from the one tip here. I've got one on top and then 2 lateral branches. So I probably should prune that top one off. But I'm not. I'm going to shorten it to there. Some wild looking branches on this tree. It's getting very cold out. I had to put my jacket on. We're supposed to get some cooler weather coming up now. Once it comes out in spring, all the leaves, I can go in and prune off any branches I think are dead, like this top here. I don't want to take it off yet, just in case it has some element of life to it, but I don't think it does. There's a branch here. It's growing underneath this part of the branch. I want to do some kind of sorting out there. I think I'm going to take this one off, shorter, to here, and maybe this section back to here. Take this part of this branch off. Hopefully that'll give each branch a bit of its own spot in the sun there. Yeah, that cleans that up pretty good. Got quite a long shoot here. That could be reduced back. This one too. Hanging branch here I could probably take back further. Tip off this one some more. There's one here going back in towards the center of the tree. I think I'm going to take that off. That will become a problem. That's off. Some of these little ones going in towards the inside aren't a problem at the moment, so I'm going to keep them. Okay, I've got a lot of the branches shortened back now. So now I've got to look at the overall styling of the tree and remove any branches that just don't look good or aren't in the right place. So I'm going to go back to the front view and kind of study the looks of the tree. I'm out front now. I'll just hold my hand so you can kind of maybe see this tree structure. It's hard to see it with the sun glaring in the lens like that, but hopefully there it's without my hand and there's with my hand. So that's what I'm left with, the structure of the tree. So I'll study it and then I'll remove any branches that I just don't like and don't have really a future on the tree. Yeah, somewhere around there is the front. So I'm looking at the tree. I've got a lot of interesting branches. Now I'm looking for ones that really bother me, like that just look totally out of place. I have one that on this side you can see it crosses the trunk line behind it. Does that bother me? Not really. Would it look better without that crossing branch? Yes, it probably would. However, that branch adds a lot of naturalness to the tree, especially if I prune it up a bit more. So this is where you kind of draw the line. Well, would a tree grow a branch like that in nature? And yes, it probably would. On a bonsai, you know, that would generally be something you would remove, but I kind of like it. I think it makes the tree look more natural. So I'm going to keep that. And it's the kind of branch that you could always prune off later on if it started bugging you in the future. You know, as these branches thicken up, maybe you'll say, oh, I don't like that anymore, so you can prune it off then. So what else am I looking at? You can see at the base, on this side, at the base, I've kind of got a fork. I've got two branches coming up from the one spot there. Again, it's kind of an unusual junction there of two branches, but perfectly natural looking. So I'm going to leave that also. I think my apex could definitely be better developed. It needs something more in towards the center of the tree, some branches, so I'll watch for those in future. I might be a little high on this left-hand side here. Let me just pan the camera up a bit. Yeah, I might be a little high in this part to kind of get a, you know, a rounded canopy on the tree. I'm kind of, you know, a dead spot in the middle, and then I got branches each side, so I think I've got to prune that profile a bit more. So I'll do that. All right, how's that look? That looks better on the left-hand side. Now I've got to do the same for the right. All right, so I've done some pruning up top. That helps. It's a little more rounded looking on top. I think it's getting close. I think I'll let the new growth come in up top, and then possibly midsummer I'll have to do some kind of hedge pruning or some profile pruning. And then you know, once it's bare again in winter, we'll tackle the structure once again. But I could definitely use some growth in the middle of the tree. So I'll watch for that. Branches kind of growing up the center of the tree and start letting those develop now. But yeah, I think everything else is fine on the tree. It certainly looks natural. It doesn't look contrived. And I like that. I like the tree to look totally natural. Look, just looks like a miniature tree. It grew like that. I'll spin the tree around now so you can see what it looks like from all angles. So here I go. And back to the front. This elm is one of 3 American elms I have growing as a bonsai, and my plan is to eventually put them together in a clump of 3 trees in a, it'll probably be a fairly large bonsai pot. I think they'll look really good together. So I think tomorrow we'll get out the other 2 trees and prune them up, and I'll put them all together on the bench here, and we'll have a look kind of what they look like in a group. So that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.